Firth 93.7 The Ticket. It's time for the deep end with Reagan Hins and Audrey Coffey on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There we are. Big Sky.
Sorry, I was jamming out to Hurricane by Bridget Mendler.
Simplicity. Is this one of their music selections?
It wasn't me. Was it one of you guys?
It wasn't me.
It was a Nick. It was a Nick.
It's a good song though.
Okay. So we have to get these young ladies their own music.
I've not spoken to these ladies yet.
We do not have to be hyped by this music. They do. So when we're gone, I don't want them listening to music that I put in the system. I want this to be your jam. This is the thing that you want to hear. Whatever maybe you're listening to before you dive, that's a conversation we'll have here shortly. We can do that in. All right. So Reagan and Abby, they're here with us. This is the second week that we've had them. We missed them last week.
Yes. Yeah. We were all gone. So
tell us, please, who you are, the name of the show, and what we're going to be doing for the next hour.
Oh, well, I'm Reagan Hinsey. I'm a diver, and this is the Deep End, and we're just going to be talking about anything and everything having to do with swimming and diving for the next hour.
Who's the rock star next to you?
I'm joined by Audrey Coffey.
Did I call you Abby?
no,
Oh.
I don't think so.
Okay. I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. That sounded weird.
It's okay. I've responded to it before.
I don't want to do that because I have people call me weird things, and I always get the
Okay.
same look on my face. So the beauty of this thing is you get to go to California. So the rest of us were getting snow.
Yes.
And you were in California skydiving. Okay, let's give the particulars. Why California, where in California, and what in California?
Well, the divers went to California. Every year, the swim and dive team takes a training trip, and it's basically just to get into a new environment and new surroundings and get out of the cold winter in Nebraska for a little bit. So we went there on the 5th, and we trained there for a week, twice a day. And then on the 13th, I believe, we traveled to UCLA. And then the past Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the divers had a competition.
Okay, so where in the scope of this thing does this competition or this thing work? Like, does this give you some insight for how it's going to go in season as you prepare for the next phase of the season? What does this do for you?
Well, this was an invitational. We were the only team that was, besides Wyoming, that wasn't from California. So it was basically a lot of the Pac-12 schools. But it was just basically to see where we were at in the season with championship season coming up. So,
Why did they choose you?
what do you mean?
Why Nebraska? If not everybody's going.
Oh, you can choose. The coaches choose where you go.
Okay. Well, I
So-
thought maybe you said it's an invitational.
That's just what they call 3-day long
Okay.
meet.
So who else is there from the Pac-12?
USC. I don't know if UCLA is in there. Stanford. They're not in the Pac-12, but Fresno State was there. UNLV was there. Wyoming was there. Cal Baptist. UC Santa Monica.
Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
I lived in
one
Orange
of those.
County. I know that
Trying-
space. I know that
trying to remember
space.
everybody.
Yeah, I know that space. So, okay. So, does everybody on the team go, or just the top competitors at each thing?
Well, the swimmers actually went to Hawaii for training trip.
Wait a minute. Hold up.
Yeah,
Whoa,
we
whoa,
were in
whoa,
different
whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Help me out here. Hawaii,
Yes.
just as a part of business as usual.
Yeah. So we didn't have a meet, so we kind of ditched the divers for a bit and let them go off to their invitational, and we just kind of trained in Hawaii. It was kind of a chance to get out of the cold and train hard. So
What?
yeah,
What?
it's crazy.
At a particular location, a school?
We were at University of Hawaii. They rent out their pool to a lot of different teams. This is kind of a common thing in
Yeah.
swim and dive programs. It's one of the top perks of being a swimmer or diver, honestly.
I would say that that's the greatest trip in the history of Nebraska sports.
it's it's pretty cool. It is a pretty cool thing that we do.
Like, we'd rather go to Hawaii than go to Ireland, quite frankly. Like, that's like, I know the football team's going, but if the football team could schedule a game against the University of Hawaii, I would say that's a better trip.
Yeah, you should talk to them.
They don't listen to me.
They don't
Well, they listen, but they don't listen. If it gives you any idea. Okay, so tell us about the competition, how to go.
Well, there are 3 divers. All 3 of us competed on 1 meter. 2 of us competed on 3 meter, and 2 of us competed on platform. 2 of us finaled on both 1 meter and 3 meter, and Hallie finaled on platform. So it was a pretty successful meet overall.
Is that what was expected?
Yeah. I mean, it would have been nice for all 3 of us to final on 1 meter since all 3 of us were competing, but Hallie just got out of like isolation and stuff, so she's been out of the pool for a month. So you can only do so much when you're out of the pool for a month, and the main thing about diving is body awareness.
So it affects you. So it affects you too. Like this is every other sport's going through it.
Yep.
It affects you too. Is it tougher on the divers or the swimmers that you never know quite who's there and for how long or what your situation is going to be?
Yeah, I think like Reagan said, you guys, like, you're doing the flips and the twists, and that's something that, we do that in the water, but you don't need like that body awareness. You don't need to be like hyper aware of where your body is at all times.
But your oxygen, you would think that the respiratory capacity in your sport may be affected by
I think
right?
they're detrimental.
Different challenges.
Both.
Yeah.
They're both equally as hard to come back from, just in different ways.
Yeah, I just having been around, I've been around it. I've never competed in it, but I've been around people who did it at a high level, and so you understand the frustrations. The gymnastics group was just in, and they were talking about what happens in the time before they compete. Right, the preparation, the conversation they have in their head. I'll ask you each both to go through first before your event. What are the conversations you have with yourself?
Well, right before the event, we have event warm-ups. So like there are flighted warm-ups. So like, let's say 8 to 9 is our warm-up. And then there's an open warm-up right before the competition. That's like 10 to 10:25. So if the competition starts at 10:30, but the event itself, if they're like, Big Tens, there's like 50, 60 girls. So the event itself for us to do
long. It's a lot of, it's like a hurry up and wait then.
It's close to 4 hours.
Just for diving?
Just for diving. So it's not necessarily what you think before the whole event starts. It's what's going through your head after you do one dive and then you go sit for an hour. And then you have to re-warm up and then get back on the board and do another one.
Let's go through the first dive, right? So let's say you're up first.
Yes.
What's in your head? What conversation you're having? Is there music playing? What's the process?
It kind of depends. I personally like having music playing. Because just like if you don't have music playing, personally, I'd get too much in my head.
Yeah.
But the first dive is supposed to be like a dive that you feel pretty confident on, that like you won't necessarily be super nervous about. So it's one that you can kind of rely on to get to get the meet going.
Okay.
So
not your best dive, but your most consistent dive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say I'm first. They'll be like Reagan Hinsey, and there are numbers. So my first dive is an inward 2.5, which is 405C, and there'll be like 2.8 or 2.7, and then a whistle will blow, which means you can walk to the end of the board and set up. So basically, what's going through my head is take a deep breath and just let your training do it.
That's literally the conversation I was having with them. That at some point you have to put down your prep and just
you just
go.
have to trust yourself, trust your body.
Like you just have to go.
Yeah.
Now, are you usually right about how you did? So do you, when you hit it or miss it, do you know it before the judges?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
yeah.
Right? Like it's a feeling, right? Muscle memory and that all things.
Oh, you can totally belly flop.
Right. You know what's coming before you get out of the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
But diving's on a scale from 1 to 10 and like half increments. So like if you belly flop, you can expect 1.5s and 2s, which is sub-satisfactory. But if you go in the water and you're like, wow, I really killed that. That was great. And you come out of the water, you can see like 6.5, 7, 7.5, like all the way up to. There was a girl that got 8.5s and 9s on a dive at this meet.
Wow.
She's really good.
Okay. Okay. That's a different level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you're up.
Okay, swimming side of things.
Mhm.
I'd say the main difference is that I think divers have to be very like calm, like very calm when like trying to prepare for their dives. Because if you're super fired up or freaking out, like you can. I don't know diving, but it just won't go well from what I've heard. So I think swimming's a little different in the fact that you kind of want to be fired up because it's a race. You're trying to go fast, so you don't want to be over the top, but there's a lot of coffee drinking. I'm, per my last name, I drink a lot of coffee. So
how far ahead of your match? When's the cutoff?
The cutoff? So it starts kicking in like 15 to 30 minutes before.
Okay.
So I'll usually drink some coffee in the morning, and then I'll have another one that's closer to the actual race time. So like one to wake me up, and then one to actually like, okay, I'm feeling it, I'm ready to go.
Most of your meets are noon-ish or early morning.
Yeah, it depends on if it's like an invitational
Okay.
like theirs or not. Dual meets usually, kind of late morning ish. So, and then invitationals, like it'll be prelims in the morning, so just to qualify it, and then those usually start at like I guess like 9 or 10 a.m. and then finals at night. So
do you stay the whole meet?
You do, just as long as like your teammates are swimming. That's kind of a thing on our team to support like people who are racing. So
all right, what music are you listening to? What's in the headphones?
Oh my gosh, see, I haven't been listening to music in my headphones for a while.
What do you do in that headspace?
So I used to get just way too intense about things. So I think now, maybe that's contradictory, but I think now it's a lot more of like kind of talking to my teammates and stuff like that. Like, again, like reaching that happy medium of I'm fired up, but I'm not too like closed off from the world.
Who's the more competitive of the two of you?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know about that. That's kind of hard because I feel like I just see Reagan from across the pool. I'm like, hey, like she's like jamming out. Like you dance.
I always have my headphones on.
What do you listen
Reagan's
to?
a little bit of a dancer.
What are you listening to?
I have my meet playlist that's like the pump up jams.
Okay.
I just don't like to get too in my head about things because then I overthink. So listening to music kind of is a release of.
That's sense. Why I ask, because even coaching, I have to have music to kind of block out the noise.
Yeah.
If I'm just in my head, I'll change my lineup like 30 times before a ball game. You don't want to live in that space.
No.
So in racing, start is everything. It's everything, right? You can correct a lot of things mechanically in the water, but the start has to be on point.
It kind of depends on what race you're doing.
Okay, so what is your specialty?
I do the mile. So because the race is like 16 minutes long, the start actually really doesn't matter.
How do you do that? Like I can't even even
give
fathom.
Yourself some credit. She's a school record holder. In
right,
the
like I can't. Right, like I can't fathom that.
You start out as a little kid doing like the little events, like the 50s, which are like 2 laps, 30 seconds. And I just wasn't really good at those. So once I got older and like capable of swimming better events, like that was kind of when I took off. Like that was just naturally how I was built. Like I was made to do endurance, I guess. My dad swam in high school, and he was a distance swimmer. And
so is the bulk of the work mental? Being in the water, just checking yourself.
It is very hard mentally, I think.
Yeah. I was going to ask. It's 66 laps, right?
Yes.
What do you think about?
Right. Like that's a lot.
That's a lot of time just swimming.
You can't get bored. Go, I wonder if I had enough coffee today.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like.
I guess going back to music, you try and get some random song stuck in your head. And I've had really bad ones too. I've had some Miley Cyrus that was just not fitting the mood, and I've had like the pacer test music, like that you do. That was terrible too. So sometimes it's just like these random things.
Do you change the song? Like if you win to the song, is it become ritual, and then if you lose to the song, then you stop using it?
I should. Lately the only song I can get stuck in my head on command is "Industry Baby" by Lil Nas X.
Oh, good heavens!
And I'm not-
The station and Industry Baby. I don't understand it. Explain this to me.
I don't know. I'm not necessarily like a huge like fan, but I'm not
Yeah.
really against it. It's
Yeah.
just like really distinctive, so I can like just play it on command. So you're gonna look it up now. It's like I'm gonna play this.
No, it's so we have a show in the middle of the day called Happy Hour, and
Mm.
they give Industry Baby shout outs daily.
Oh really?
Like, and they have listeners like, hey, shout out, I heard Industry Baby while I was at the grocery store.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I'm happy to confirm that Industry Baby is no longer there open.
what did they change it to?
It's still dry.
Okay. I worry about it. Like, I try to figure out what's behind the thinking.
I don't know what it is. It just I can get it stuck in my head. Like most songs I can't do that. I have to like hear it before and it just kinda
Have
gets
you
stuck there.
ever been a diver? Have you ever attempted to do what Reagan does?
No. Well, so on my I took a stop laughing. I took a recruiting trip to Virginia Tech, and they actually let the swimmers go off of the diving boards there, and they had like the tall ones, like they had up to the 3-story one, and it was on my bucket list to go off the 10-meter, like the 3-story high one. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. So I go up there. And I have no body awareness like Reagan does. So I don't know where my body is in the air. So I'm like falling and my legs come up and I could kind of tell in the middle. I'm like, something's wrong. And I hit the water and I was like basically like sitting in a chair.
She landed in a seat drop.
Yeah. It
So,
was
how long
bad.
did that hurt?
It was really bad. I was in shock. Couldn't really use my legs after. The diving coach was really mad at me because he was like, there's probably a lawsuit coming or something.
Just afraid.
I was fine. I was just really bruised.
Was Tech? So I'm a Virginia kid. So
Okay.
So I know the space that you're talking about. Why Virginia Tech, and then why Nebraska over Virginia Tech?
Yeah, so there was actually an assistant coach at Virginia Tech who was from Illinois, which is where I went to high school. And so he could talk like Illinois swimming to me. He was just a really nice guy. And before that, I hadn't really known much about it. But through like conversations with him, I was like very into it. And it was ultimately like, honestly, it was down to money. Like I thought there would be space and I thought there would be money. Like, it's out of state, so I would need a little bit. And they were like, yeah, we don't have enough. So I'm like, okay, well. And then I just really like Nebraska and the girls. Like the girls are what sold it to me. Like it felt like a family, and I'm very happy that I chose going here.
Now, Reagan, I know that the Woodlands in Conroe has some great facilities.
Oh yeah.
And within the state of Texas, you have opportunities, you have choices.
Yes.
Why Nebraska?
I've always wanted to go out of state. I trained at Texas A&M for a little bit.
Mhm.
And it's a great
Yeah,
facility.
yeah, they do everything well.
It's a great Jay LaRue is the head coach there. He's
But that's close to home, so why you just want to get?
I just wanted to get away from home.
Okay, that is a conversation. Why? You must say why.
I don't really know. Every single visit I had the closest one was Colorado. So
none of the schools in Texas had a shot.
No.
Wow.
No.
Wow. Have you taken her to your hometown yet?
I have not.
Okay.
She's been to Texas though.
Yeah, I
Have
used
you
to live
swim?
there.
Did you swim in the well? There's a facility there that sits next to the football stadium.
Yeah, the natatorium.
Natatorium.
I don't think I actually swam
pretty
at
amazing.
the Woodlands, but I lived in Austin for a bit, so I swam against like kind of their rival team. It was called Nitro Swimming.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Reagan likes it that I can like shout out Texas things like Freebirds.
It matters.
The restaurant Freebirds.
Oh,
so
okay, yeah. That's
it's amazing.
Look, if they could ever get one here, well, there's
Yeah.
like
all my money would go there.
we try to tell people like I get it, but
Oh, it's so good. It's delicious.
I will recommend a place for you though.
Okay.
If you haven't gone to Muchachos, I'm gonna hook you up with Nick, who's
Okay.
the owner of it. I think you will like it
Okay.
a lot. It's the best. It's the most flavorful food that I've had since I've been here.
Okay.
So
I think I have actually been there once.
yeah,
It was good. It was good stuff.
Certainly the best nachos, absolutely the best burritos. Yeah, and the smoked brisket. Just like if you ask him, he'll pull some right off for you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. We'll make sure that happens.
Okay.
We'll make sure that happens. He's good people. He's a friend of the station, and he does that. Okay, so you've gotten into the first phase of your competitions. Then there is for you, is it a one-off race and you're done? How does your competitive day work?
It depends on the meet again. Dual meets, you usually have several races, so maybe like 3 to 4. So that's like, you do your race, you get prepared for that, you warm down well just to get the lactic acid out, and then you kind of wait, you cheer on your teammates, try not to get in your head too much until it's time to get ready again for another race. Invitationals and like conference and stuff is a little easier because it's about like one race per session. So like you'll do one race in the morning, and then if you're fast enough to come back at night, then there's another one. But it's a lot more spaced out, and it's a lot more focused on just that single race per day, which is really nice.
When do you start preparing for the second race? Let's say you qualify, you know that you're going to swim later in the day. When do you start to approach and attack that?
Honestly, it's right after the first swim. Really? Like no matter what, like after the first swim, you have to like warm down. You have to take care of your body really well. We're lucky we get massage therapists, which help a lot.
Yes, you are.
So yeah, like right after you're like, okay, I got to get good nutrition. I got to get massaged out, and I got to get ready, whether it's that night or if it's the next day. Like either way, doing that right away helps a lot.
First dive is complete. Let's say that you nailed it. Let's say you feel good about it.
Okay.
How quickly do you process that, what you did to get that score, and then when do you immediately start thinking about the next thing?
Well, we have what's called TiVos. They're basically replay machines, and so you watch yourself, and then you go talk to your coach, and he's like, "All right, you did this well, but you still need to work on this, this, and this," which isn't important in the moment. That's after the fact.
Well, I was curious as to whether they would address the next dive or the last dive.
Then you go sit down.
Okay.
And if it's an invitational or conference, like you'll be sitting for a good 40 minutes before you start loosening up again. And then you go to your coach again, and they're like, "All right, what's your next dive?" And you tell them your next dive, and they're like, "All right, make sure you do this, this, and this." And then you put your headphones back on and you go behind the towers and you wait for them to call your name.
Isn't that torturous? Like, wouldn't it, as a diver, wouldn't you prefer to just be able to just bang out like 4 dive? Like,
it's so different from the practice environment to the meet environment.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, there's no continuity to it. You're put in this whole new environment to do a thing that should be very natural to you.
Yeah, in practice, it's bang, bam, 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 like dive, 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 dive. But then, and even in meet warm-ups, it's like that too. But then in the meet itself, it's just like, well, then it's this person, and then you go sit down for a little bit. So it takes a little bit of getting competitions under your belt to get used to it.
It like I said, all of it, and this is part of why I needed for this show to happen, because there are people who are curious and they have some knowledge of what happens. But the details of this thing, to me, it's just mind-blowing that you guys were able to pull this thing through. I would have gone mental by now if I was a diver. As a swimmer, I could probably process a sprint, but I couldn't do 1,000 meters. No, that's somebody else's life for me. So, like, and you guys will find this out. I'm impressed by people who can do things that I can't do, so I'm extremely impressed by both of what both of you do. Like, athletically, I'm like, I'm pretty athletic. No. What you guys do is pretty impressive. We'll throw it to break. The deep end with these two young ladies are crushing it from Husker swimming and diving. We'll throw it to break. When we come back, we'll pick up where we left off. We talked about good dives and good races. I want to find out what happens when the other thing happens. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Follow Reagan and Audrey on Twitter at Reagan_Hins and at ASwimCoffee. More of The Deep End is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9. with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Casey's General Store is giving you the chance at winning 2 free tickets to a Nebraska home basketball game this season. Stop by any Casey's location in Lincoln throughout basketball season, enter your name into the registration box, and you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets to an upcoming Nebraska basketball game. Every drawing will occur at least 24 hours before the game that has its selected winner. So make sure to get to any Casey's in Lincoln today for your chance at 2 free tickets for Nebraska men's basketball games.
Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. It's soul food right here in Lincoln. Ribs, wings, catfish, coleslaw, cornbread, grits. I mean, I'd say it's food like your grandma used to make, but my grandma never made food like that. If you haven't already, you've got to give it a try. Check out their location across from South Point at 27th and Pine Lake, or find their food truck at events all over town, or visit them online at maryellens.com to see the full menu. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Let them fix you a plate.
You can search online for hours to find the best electricians in Lincoln and the surrounding area, but I'll save you time. High Electric has been serving their customers for 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They're experts in everything electrical, from remodeling to new additions, hot tub installations, electric vehicle chargers or EV chargers, lighting, ceiling fans, and more. High Electric takes jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at highelectric.com.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
At Mountain Dew, we support the best and baddest disaster relief group in America, Team Rubicon. To show our support of Team Rubicon, Mountain Dew put in $1 million. And now you can help Team Rubicon too. Look for specially marked Team Rubicon bottles of Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew, and Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. Enter for a chance to win weekly prizes at MountainDewTR.com and donate to Team Rubicon. You'll earn exclusive rewards when you do. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 and older. Subject to rules at MountainDewTR.com. Ends 10/3/2020.
Parents, if you've been waiting for FDA approval to get your teen vaccinated, the time is now. The FDA has approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for use in preventing COVID-19. While this is the first vaccine to gain FDA approval, all COVID-19 vaccines have been proven to be effective against the coronavirus. Want to reduce your teen's risk of hospitalization while protecting yourself and your community? Get your teen vaccinated today. Visit vaccinate.ne.gov to get started.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too, and that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more. When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it. We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors. Whether they are in the mountains of New Mexico, the plains of Nebraska and Kansas, the ranches of Oklahoma and Texas, the farmlands of Missouri and Arkansas, or the bayous of Louisiana, we are here for our hometowns. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
You're listening to The Deep End with Reagan and Audrey on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right. Well, welcome to the Deep End. I'm Reagan Hinsey, and I'm joined with Audrey Coffey on 93.7 The Ticket. If you want to call, the Honda of Lincoln hotline is 402-464-5685, and the Sartor Hammond text line is the same number.
Yeah, and then we are also streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch if you want to watch us and see our faces.
All you got to do is
tune in.
Type in the 937 The Ticket. You can see everything that's going on. We got 3 chat rooms open, so have at it. Have at it. Where did we left off in the good vibes, right? Things that happened the way we planned for them to happen.
Yes.
But you can measure the athlete, but how they react to when things go wrong.
Yeah.
Who wants to start with things didn't go well?
What do you want to know?
What goes through your head? You absolutely missed it. You missed it. You're underwater. Are you cursing to yourself?
You don't want to come up.
Right? Like, what's that process? Like,
well, okay. If you do a bad dive, so bad where you like back or belly flop, that's considered a smack.
Mhm.
And if you smack in the meat, you get what's called pity claps. So you come out of the water and everybody's like, "Woo,
Oh.
yeah!" And you're like, "I just
didn't
want to
know
go
they
back
had that.
underwater."
I didn't know they had that in diving. They have that in swimming.
Yeah.
So,
like
yeah,
if you
it's
finish
awesome.
last and
Yeah, like by a lot, like almost didn't make it, like almost drowned kind of thing. So, sorry, I didn't know that.
does
Oh,
that
yeah.
does,
I didn't know it was a
does
thing.
that happen?
Yeah, pity claps happen a lot.
Has-
It's
does that-
especially with like little kids. You feel bad.
Okay,
It's
so
like,
when they're young. Okay.
like
oh,
little.
no, it happens. It happens of all ages for divers.
Right?
Oh, fair. Yeah, but yeah, you guys throw stuff and
You'll smack and
There's a
you'll be
lot of room for
underwater and
error.
everybody will be like, "Oh,
Can you hear them underwater? Can you hear
no!"
them? No.
Sometimes you just hear
I can hear
ringing.
Oh my goodness. So then there's that there's what I love about the Olympics. Of course, that becomes the highlight. That's how people become fans. But at the Olympic level, there's a moment that happens when somebody's had a less than stellar performance.
Yep.
And they get to the edge of the water, and it's the look around, and then the great deep breath, like, son of a gun, I got to get out of here.
Yep.
Like who and what are you looking for?
You're looking at the ground.
You don't want to face anybody.
You don't want to look at anybody.
You know, like, and are you avoiding your coach?
No, you'll still go to your
You
coach.
still go to your coach.
You'll be like, okay, that was not what we were hoping for, but that's considered a miss, obviously. But you just try to move on from it. You don't dwell on it, but you also you're not supposed to necessarily be like, okay, well then these next dives have to be perfect if I want to do that. Just like trust your training. The next dive isn't the same exact dive that you just missed. So
how do you plan your dives? Most consistent, early?
I put most consistent first and last.
Okay.
And then second should be a pretty consistent dive, but recently it has not been for me.
Why?
Okay, so when you're spinning, you're supposed to keep your head up. And I keep ducking my head, so I keep missing what's called my spot. So if you're like on a 2.5 flip, you'll spot the water and the board twice. And I see them late. So I come out late. And that's either a belly or a back flop if I come out late enough. So usually the second dive is pretty consistent for me, but we got some more work on those to do.
So that's not a timing thing. That is an actual visual checkpoint.
Visual cue, yep.
Wow. And that's a lot of high repetition then.
Yeah.
Just to know, well, is it ever an issue that because you're in a different building?
It takes some getting used to. Like at the UCLA invite, we were outside. And so usually we don't train outside and we're like, okay, it's blue sky and blue water.
And windy
what do
or
we see?
breezy.
Or the sun. You make eye contact with the sun.
Right.
That sucks. But like my coach is always like, all right, see if you can tell which one's glistening and which one's not. And I'm like, I got like 0.2 seconds to make this out. How am I supposed to tell the difference?
Is that worked out in your practice, in your trial dives where you're just trying to see what how this thing works?
Oh yeah, there was one dive in finals on 3-meter at this past meet, and like I said, UCLA is an outdoor pool, and in California there are mountains. I spotted the mountains on one of my dives.
Oh my! Oh my! Yeah,
it worked. It worked out in my favor, but it was scary in the dive, for sure.
You don't see those in Nebraska.
No,
No.
you see a white wall.
That
a little
is
different.
That is crazy. Okay, now it's in a race, and midway through it, something goes wrong. You have a spasm. You feel weak in the legs.
Your goggles fall off.
Yeah,
That's
something.
happened.
Something. What's the process? How do you get through it?
I guess it depends on the situation. Goggles fall off, you just gotta swim through it. I've done, thankfully, never a mile with my goggles off, but I've done like a 400, so like a 4-minute race, and that's just not fun. Yeah, so that.
Do you pull them off? What do you do?
It depends on how they come off. Like a lot of times they'll come off the dive,
Yeah.
like just the force will bring them down. Sometimes they come around your neck, which is honestly easier than having it kind of be like half on and filled with water, because
Yeah.
then you can't see anything.
Right.
Like if you pull them down to your neck, you can at least open your eyes when you breathe.
Does it ever like fog up?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Usually not too bad though. Like, and honestly, it's not that important that you see
Okay.
people. Like it's nice to see people, but that's not the point of the race. Like you're racing against the clock, you're racing against yourself. So
Do you pay attention to the people next to you?
I pay attention to the people next to me. I personally really like it when there's people next to me. So there's this thing called time trials where you just kind of swim by yourself to get a time. And some people are really good at that because it's kind of like more of a low pressure thing, but I hate it. I love swimming next to people. I like trying to, in the mile, there's a lot of strategy. So I like trying to like play off their strategy, or I can tell if like they're going really fast and I'm like, oh, I have a lot of energy left. So this is going to be good.
Do you like being in the middle of the pool? Is the middle lane thing an
Yes.
advantage? Because there are people that like being on the edge because it's just them.
Middle of the pool is definitely an advantage. Usually they put the fastest like people going into the meet. Usually they get the middle lanes,
Okay.
because you can see more around you, and also sometimes being next to a wall, you get you give off waves when you swim, right? So you give off waves, and then the wall, it comes back and hits you. And honestly, you can really feel that. Like you wouldn't think you'd be able to, but it does make a difference.
I would imagine that you learn pretty quickly within the race what your endurance level is going to be for the rest of the race.
Yeah, you can tell pretty quickly if you're gonna die or not, and that is a scary thought.
well, just when you know that the tank is not as full as I would hope that it is.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends on how you swim it too. Like when I was little, I used to go out super fast and just try and hang on, like going like almost max effort the whole time. And I would die. I would be in a lot of pain, and I would just go a lot slower towards the end because, no one can hold like that fast of a speed for that long. So as I've gotten older, I've tried to pace myself more, and like ease into it. And sometimes you can kind of make up for a little bit of a lack of endurance just based on strategy. Like if you can kind
Being
of
consistent in it.
yeah, like if you can kind of like hang with people but not try very hard, like that's the sweet spot.
So the correlation between track and swimming, racing is racing. And in a mile, there are people who have the ability that they can always finish strong. Those people have an advantage. Does that happen in swimming where there are people that you race against that back quarter of this mile, they are going to be a problem?
Yes, people have like their signature styles. Like Autumn Habig, she's like, debatably the best swimmer on the team, probably the best swimmer on the team. And we call her a back halfer. Like she always like at the end. So whenever I race against her, I'm saving up like everything. Like I know I swam 1,000 against her at a meet, and she was doing really well, but I was like, I gotta save a lot. So I think I split like 2 seconds faster on the last 100. And my coach was like, you had a lot left there. I'm like, yeah, I was racing Autumn. Like,
But then
I needed it.
But then you ever feel like, you know what? I still had something left in the tank, so maybe I could start early.
Yeah, it's a sweet spot, honestly. It's, trial and error. Because you don't want to be like, oh, I could have gone faster. Like I have a lot left, because then that means you could have gone faster in the race. But you also don't want to be like, wow, I didn't think I was going to make it to the wall after like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I could have started 4 more laps earlier. I could have held that.
Yeah.
the difference in pools and the events that host these events, how much do they impact you both? I figure from a diving standpoint, you talk about being outside,
Yeah.
but inside, sometimes the pools can have impact. Do you care where you dive? Are you the
Yes.
same diver in every building?
No.
Okay. What are the differences? When does that pop up?
Every board is different.
Okay. What's the standard? Is there a standard for, I don't know. I don't know if it's a word, springability, right? What's the word that you use?
It's honestly a preference
Okay.
because some boards are looser than others, some are tighter than others, and we have what's called a fulcrum, and it's on like a scale. So like let's say the board is looser than what you're used to, you have to tighten the fulcrum a little more to get it to what you're used to. But it also takes, I use used to a lot, but it also does take some getting used to. Like you do need to practice on it before you compete.
Right. So how hard you impact the board based on how loose it is?
It's all about timing. It's not necessarily the force that you put behind it. It's about catching the rhythm of it. Because if you come down while the board's coming up, you're going to lose all of your height. But if you go down while the board's coming down, it'll fling you back up and do the little, what's the word? Parabola.
Oh, that's a good one. This is a lot of physics talk right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Well, that's you swimmers and divers. That's a real thing. So in your head, you know if I've hit the board right.
You'll hear it.
You'll hear it.
There'll be a thud
so
if you didn't.
Well, I just heard Greg Louganis going, yeah, the second thud's a problem. He goes, yeah, I'm never the same after the second thud. For you then, once you hit the board and you hear the thud, now what does each pool bring you?
If you do not ride the board, honestly, all I think is hang on. Because you're used to riding the board, you're used to getting up higher. So if you don't, you have to hang on longer, and you have to, if it's a 2.5, you have to kick higher than
So
what
what's
you're used to kicking
for
at.
you? What's the appropriate height when people talk about height of a dive? What's ideal for you?
I don't really know. I haven't really thought about it.
Like to know how high it is. I mean, it's a part of like.
Well, obviously, like 1 meter, 3 meter springboard.
But
I don't know the height that I get off of the 3 meter springboard.
We'll have to find. Okay, let's think about that.
I feel like you would get pretty high. Like I know you're pretty powerful on jumping. I don't know much about diving, but I know you're a pretty powerful diver, so I feel like you'd get up there. But
I don't know. There are some people that their feet, especially the men, their feet are at the top of the 5 meter tower.
That's crazy.
After they hit their on the
insane.
3 meter springboard, so they get an entire 2 meters of height.
That's that's the information I'm looking for. We'll throw it to break here. Reagan, I'll ask you to get us out of here in the break.
All right. Well, this is the Deep End. I'm Reagan Hinsey, joined with Audrey Coffey on 93.7 The Ticket.
Follow Reagan and Audrey on Twitter at Reagan_Hins and at A-Swim Coffee. More of The Deep End is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Casey's General Store is giving you the chance at winning 2 free tickets to a Nebraska home basketball game this season. Stop by any Casey's location in Lincoln throughout basketball season, enter your name into the registration box, and you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets to an upcoming Nebraska basketball game. Every drawing will occur at least 24 hours before the game that has its selected winner. So make sure to get to any Casey's in Lincoln today for your chance at 2 free tickets for Nebraska men's basketball games.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Winter is upon us. Is your home prepared? If your furnace isn't keeping up or you've thought about replacing it, John Henry's has a new year, new unit special. When you purchase a select heating and cooling system from John Henry's, we will give you the furnace for free. There are also equipment and LES rebates up to an additional $850. This offer expires February 28th, so don't miss out. Find out more at jhlincoln.com or give John Henry's a call or text today.
435-5555. You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too, and that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more. When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it. We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors. Whether they are in the mountains of New Mexico, the plains of Nebraska and Kansas, the ranches of Oklahoma and Texas, the farmlands of Missouri and Arkansas, or the bayous of Louisiana, we are here for our hometowns. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
Hi, welcome to Big Chain Bar and Grill. Can I get you a drink? Which game were you hoping to see? Doesn't matter. I don't know what channel the game's on anyway. Are you ready to order? Okay, here's your check. Come back and see us again, okay?
What?
Hey, welcome back into Upside.
Slow down and enjoy the game at the Upside Bar and Lounge. Comfortable seating, plenty of screens, a great food and drink menu, and no one trying to shove you out the door. Come in, hang out, and take it all in at the Upside Bar and Lounge, open daily just east of 27th and Pine Lake.
Allo knows businesses need reliable communication, both at the office and at home. Now more than ever. Just listen to Bill Mitchner from Lighthouse.
Before we'd have breaks in service, especially for internet, but we've never had any issues with Allo. It's always been there and available when we needed it.
At Allo, supporting your business is our business. To get your free quote and switch today, visit allofiber.com/workfast or call 402-480-6685 today.
Bagels and Joe is ready for winter with white chocolate raspberry cream cheese, great on any bagel. And try a grilled Italian panini for lunch with ham, prosciutto, banana peppers, and provolone on a sun-dried tomato bagel. Bagels and Joe, 4 Lincoln locations.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. Drive-bys is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
At Mountain Dew, we support the best and baddest disaster relief group in America, Team Rubicon. To show our support of Team Rubicon, Mountain Dew put in $1 million. And now you can help Team Rubicon too. Look for specially marked Team Rubicon bottles of Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew, and Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. Enter for a chance to win weekly prizes at MountainDewTR.com and donate to Team Rubicon. You'll earn exclusive rewards when you do. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 and older. Subject to rules at MountainDewTR.com. Ends 10/3/2020.
You're listening to The Deep End with Reagan and Audrey on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right. Well, I'm Reagan Hinsey, joined with Audrey Coffey on The Deep End on 93.7 The Ticket. The Honda of Lincoln hotline is 402-464-5685, and the Starter Hammond text line is the same number.
Yeah, and again, you can join us on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, and you can watch us live at 93.7.
We got the question of the segment from Big Sky, and I think it needs to be repeated. So, Big Sky, if you would, please.
My question was to Audrey, and it was basically along the lines of when you make a mistake, have you ever churned too early and then barely touched the wall with your feet? Because I used to be a swimmer back in middle school, and I did that chronically, even at practice. And it was, you just end up motionless in the water. And at that point, it's just like, all right, flutter kick arms, and you're barely moving.
Yeah, that's kind of the worst feeling ever. I think after a lot of practice, like with the amount of turns we do, you do get used to it. So it doesn't happen very much for me anymore, but definitely like learning that for the first time, like as a little kid. That
How many turns do you practice in a day?
I don't even know. Gosh, we swim like at least 8,000 yards a day. So
Wait, say that again, just for us humanoids.
Well,
like none of us
depends on the day. I guess if we only have one practice a day, it's probably like 8,000 to 10,000 yards. If we have two practices, it'll probably be about 12,000 to 14,000. I think over Christmas training, we had a day where we did about 12 miles.
That's not normal, right?
I guess not.
Yeah, wow, that is a lot of time in your own head.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know how you
It's
do
a lot
it.
of time staring at a line.
So you know all the corners of your brain, like you.
I try not to. It's a scary place.
No, I mean, but that you're in there.
You try to turn it off, honestly. Like if you're having a really good practice or set, like you're not really thinking. It's the weirdest thing. Like you're just kind of, I guess it's almost like you're meditating or something. I don't.
Well, is that a thing for you? Do you do yoga? Do you meditate? Are those things that cross over?
I did meditate for a little bit, but that's because I kept getting in my head at practice. So
Yeah.
it was kind of more being aware of my thoughts and not like focusing on like, oh, I'm practicing so badly right now, and then you just freak out and you practice worse. So
Reagan, is that like a thing? Is that again that space in your head? How many dives of the course of a practice?
Oh, over 100 at least.
at least.
This is some real mermaid stuff here, man. This is like they have to realize this is not normal.
But we don't swim 12,000 a day.
That's banana. Like that's crazy.
And I don't do 100 dives. So.
We swim to the edge of the pool and then we get out. That's about.
do
the
you
extent I go.
worry about like getting concussion, like the pressure, water pressure on your brain on a
not underwater, but hitting the water? Yes,
right. That's 100 car wrecks a day.
Yeah. Allie, my freshman year.
Yeah, on my visit, one of my teammates got a concussion.
Yeah,
doing a dive.
It was like her first practice of college too, like first or second. I felt really bad.
Is that? I mean, do the hands in front protect you from that? Can it protect you from all of it? Some of it? Like, how's that work?
Well, you don't go in the water like a swimmer. You don't have, what is this called? Streamline?
Yeah.
You don't have a streamline. You basically palm the water like this. So
with one palm or two?
You have one hitting the water, and then your fingers are wrapped by the other hand. So like, I don't know how to describe it.
So does that hurt a lot?
It does not hurt your hands a lot because as soon as your hands hit the water, they break.
Okay.
And you swim through, and you do a circle. You do a somersault underneath the water, which is what gives the no.
That was the next
effect.
question, right? With underwater, that whole thing.
Yeah, we don't just die underwater. We have to suck the water down with us.
Well, it's like you pull the water down, right? But then you have to fight your way back up.
Yeah.
And you never once have been disoriented enough that you couldn't.
I go down instead of up. No, that's never happened.
I would be the first guy. They're like, "Where's he going? Where's DP going? Like you're going the wrong way." Like I talk about follow the bubbles. Like I don't know. I'm disoriented. Okay, so this is a big talk about your next competition.
Well, we leave Friday for our duel against Illinois on Saturday morning.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
It's about 8-hour drive, or is it more than that?
It's probably like a 9-hour with a bus.
Yeah, the bus
you guys
goes
are taking
slow.
a bus?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a sleeper bus, so we get.
I don't even know if we get a sleeper
beds.
bus anymore.
How many people
I hope
go?
we get a sleeper bus. It's like the whole team, so it's about 30 girls.
So 30 girls, sleeper bus. You'll leave when?
Like 8 a.m. And then yeah, we get there. We're gonna just kind of warm up the first day, and then we stay overnight in a hotel for this one because of how long it is. And then next morning, yeah, we swim
Competition and then come back.
Yeah.
Before we go, each of you take about 20 seconds. What are you eating the moment of the day of your meet?
Eggs.
Just eggs.
Eggs for breakfast.
That's it.
That's what I have every day, so it's not out of the
You
ordinary.
are so Texas. That is just a Texas thing. I didn't hear. What do you eat? What's your?
I do oatmeal on race days. I feel like that helps me.
Okay. Well, at least we know how to plan. Now we can
Yeah.
figure that out. Ladies, job well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Good luck this week. We'll come back next Monday. We'll do it again. The Deep End on 93.7 The Ticket.